I'd like to call this village board meeting to order. It is April 27th, 2015. Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Abernathy?
Present.
Kim? Here. Meyer? Here. Semple?
Here.
Sullivan? Here. Voss?
Here.
Okay, now is the time in the evening when we do our Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand if you are able. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone, for coming out. We have a very eventful evening, and it's great to see so many people here. First up on the agenda is the approval of minutes. I need a motion to approve the Board of Trustees meeting, the regular meeting from April 13th, 2015.
Second.
Motion by Voss, second by Abernathy. Discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Voss?
Yes.
Abernathy? Yes. Kim? Yes. Semple?
Present.
Meyer? Yes. Sullivan?
Yes. Very good. Motion carries. That takes us to the part in the evening where we have public commentary. Does anyone here wish to address us live from the podium? Okay, I have one. Anyone else? Okay, sir, come on up. Give us your name and your address if you wish.
Good evening. My name is Joe Schwan, 28630 Champions Court. My question tonight is, what is going to happen now? Spring has arrived. We went through fall. We went through a spring a year ago on Route 176, 6083. I thought, if I understood correctly, last time I asked that question, well, we're looking at it in spring. And spring has arrived.
Spring has arrived, and I think there's a bit of activity planned, so who wants to take that? Yeah, Mr. Boucher?
Yep, we are still hopeful that we get it done this construction season, and we're, at this point, we've received all the permits from IDOT, or the approval from IDOT. We don't really get a permit until you go to construction, because it will be a contractor permitted project. So we are at the point where IDOT has received and ultimately approved the plan set, so we are looking to move forward probably sometime mid to late summer on that project.
Now, are you bidding the job, or is the state bidding the job?
It's ours.
So it is your job. Are there bids out? So no bids have been out. Okay, so that means there'll be some time. Well, in conclusion, I'd like to say thank you to the board members who are either retiring, departing, or whatever way they're going to go. It's been a great journey with you all, and I know I don't agree with you on a lot of things, but I do agree with you on some things. But the most important thing, go forward, enjoy your life, and I will miss you, and I'm looking forward to breaking in a new group of people. Thank you very much.
Well, Mr. Mayor, I would warn Mr. Schwan that I'm not going anywhere. And one of these nights, when you come up to that podium, I'll be in the audience too. Look forward to that.
Good to see you.
All right, anyone else? All right, we'll close the floor, and then we move on to the presentations and awards. We have a few this evening. This is the last board meeting for three trustees, Trustees Meyer, Sullivan, and Voss, and we want to recognize their years and years of service, and we gave them, we created a little memento for each of them, so let me get these here. This up here, there we go. In this type of public service, it's quite often that you get a street sign in your honor, and so we made one for each of them with a little item under here, just kind of commemorating their legacy and the things that they accomplished and everything. So this is for Trustee Meyer, Meyer Gateway. Trustee Robin Meyer, a champion for government transparency and effective governance for 7 years as an advocate for open government. Trustee Meyer has elevated Mundelein's transparency and has helped to position the village as a more open and welcoming community in which to live and do business. And the little backstory there is 2 years ago, right when I came aboard, we got together and she really introduced us to an area of technology that really helped our website get into take it to transparency to a new level. And we got a transparency award, and due in large part to her efforts in pushing us into an area of technology we really needed to go into. So, Trustee Meyer, here you go.
Just
Sullivan Way.
just keep that transparency going.
We will. All right, Sullivan Way. Trustee Ed Sullivan, a trusted advisor and visionary leader for the village of Mundelein for 16 years. Trustee Sullivan's effectiveness is rooted in his ability to do what's best for residents while being fiscally responsible. That's the Sullivan Way. And you know, what I appreciate about Trustee Sullivan so much is two parts. On the one hand, you have his tremendous passion that he brings to many issues, and you just love it when he gets into the arguments with Trustee Voss, who also has great passion. And but at the same time, then, even though you might disagree, you can always go out afterwards and do a debrief over the whole thing, and you're back to being friends because there's going to be another issue that you're going to agree and you have to work together. And I'm just so happy that I count Ed as my friend, and we haven't been always on the same side in politics or on issues, and we have been on the same side, and we're embroiled in one right now up north. And I'll tell you what, it's a lot better to be on the same sidelines with Trustee Sullivan than looking across the field. So, Ed, here you go. Terry Voss, Voss Vista. Here we go. Trustee Terry Voss, a passionate and committed Village of Mundelein public servant and voice of the people for 12 years. Trustee Voss's vision and positive outlook for Mundelein residents and businesses helped to lay a solid foundation for the village's future. Mundelein's future looks bright thanks to Trustee Voss's steadfast service. And I'm going to say this, there's a special part in my heart for Trustee Voss. Years ago, I got a phone call from her husband, Keith. We had been Little League coaches for a few years, and he said, hey, we saw what you were doing with the community over there in Little League and others, and we wanted to see if you wanted to consider stepping it up and coming over and looking at being a village trustee. And so I said, well, it sounds interesting. Well, here, let me give you the phone to Terry. And with that started a friendship now running 6 years plus, and I wouldn't be in this if it wasn't for Keith and Terry reaching out to me back then. And so I appreciate you and your passion. And again, she's a real stateswoman. You can have a solid disagreement, and yet afterwards really reconnect, debrief, and move on to the next issue where you may be on the same side again. And together, I just want to thank all three of you for contributing your passion and yet keeping the vibe positive for these 2 years. So here you go. And I wanted just to go through, it's been an amazing 2 years when you look at this particular board's actions just over a 2-year period of time, and there's been a lot of committee of the whole meetings outside of this. We've had committees of the whole, subcommittees, lots of meetings, lots of conferences with staff. But let me just read you a list of the things that this group of people have done in the last 2 years. Completed construction of the Village Hall under budget and ahead of schedule. Completed revisions to the zoning ordinance. Created a new sign ordinance. Hired a communications and marketing director and implemented a branding program. Settled collective bargaining agreements with Public Works, fire lieutenants, and police. It's a lot of work. Controlled property taxes, and we kept the tax levy the same the whole time. Completed the land acquisition phase for the Holly Street improvement project so it could move forward. That was a lot of work. And then advanced economic growth and development through a number of things. And the list is huge. Coves of Mundelein, Mundelein Crossing, Lake Ridge Townhomes, the tax sharing agreement with Medline, and now tonight we have a new business incentive grant program we're going to discuss. We're going to take the vote, hopefully we'll take a motion and a vote on that. I'm going to say there's probably well over $5 million in street and infrastructure improvements in a 2-year period of time coming up. Expanded recycling to multifamily residential properties. Received the recognition from the Illinois Policy Institute for outstanding government transparency. And one thing that's missing on here, and we might be a little divided on this, but when the medical marijuana dispensary list went out to the state, we got all 3 of them in Lake County. And it was, some might feel one way or the other about that, but you know, this board took a bold step to help make that happen. And so that's a huge list of accomplishments. So to those outgoing, congratulations on this 2 years, and we know you'll be back in some capacity serving the community. Thank you very much. All right. Next up, Chief Sashko. Chief Sashko is retiring, and I have a proclamation here I'd like to read. But before I do, I'd just like to state, you know, when I first got together with Chief as a trustee, meeting with him, and he was going to brief me over the fire station, the mechanics of it all, and the department and what it was all about, I connected with him because I knew Chief Sashko not as the fire chief, but as just a great husband and father, and his 2 boys were at Mundelein High School, and just a stellar pillar, a family that's a pillar in our community. And that's the context that I knew about him from. And for me, that's as stellar as anything that I'm going to read here. So I just wanted to mention that the Sashko boys at Mundelein were, you know, just spoke volumes about you and your family. So it says this: whereas Timothy Sashko became the Village of Mundelein Fire Chief on October 27, 2007, after serving 28 years in the Buffalo Grove, Illinois Fire Department. And whereas Chief Sashko started as a paid on-call firefighter in 1979, becoming a full-time firefighter paramedic in 1981. And whereas Chief Sashko rose steadily through the ranks of the fire service, eventually becoming the chief of the Buffalo Grove Fire Department in 2002, where he served with distinction before being hired by the Village of Mundelein. And whereas during his tenure in Mundelein, Chief Sashko was instrumental in improving the village's Emergency Operations Center, rewriting the Village Emergency Operations Plan, developing the Volunteer Community Emergency Response Team, implementing the Adopt a Hydrant and After the Fire programs, starting the Citizens Fire Academy, refurbishing Old Number 1, expanding training and development of the fire leadership staff, and enhancing the department's state-of-the-art equipment. And whereas under Chief Sashko's leadership, the Mundelein Fire Department has received over $500,000 in state and federal grant funding for equipment acquisition and staff training. And whereas Chief Sashko has been a tireless supporter of blood drives and has worked aggressively to raise public awareness of the importance of an adequate blood supply for public health. He got me going every time. Whereas Chief Sashko has served on the Lake County Board of Health since 2003, and whereas Timothy Sashko has been a dedicated public servant for 36 years, managing his department with the highest level of integrity and technical skill. Now therefore be it proclaimed by Mayor Steve Lentz and the Village Board of Trustees that Timothy Sashko is hereby commended for 7.5 years of dedicated service to the Village of Mundelein. It is with deep gratitude and appreciation that we thank you for your service to the people of Mundelein and the state of Illinois.
With brevity tonight, everybody's invited to the walkout ceremony on May 7th, which is a very traditional process within the fire service, and it's really a moving event, so you're more than welcome to join us at 5 o'clock on May 7th, and I have a little bit more to say there, but first of all, to our 3 outgoing trustees, thank you for all of your service and help in making us what we are today. It was always met with challenges and trying to really make us hone the saw a little bit and really serve this community with dignity and pride, and I know our team has done that. There's all this in a proclamation is wonderful, but they're all standing out there, a lot of them here tonight. We don't do this as chief officers on our own, and we do it with them, and the energy and frankly the commitment to public safety that they bring each and every day is something that we hope we've raised the level of communication with the community as to how we do that. I think one of the things I read not that long ago is the toughest arithmetic that you have in life to master is counting your blessings. And for me, it's been a great run. I'm happy to have my mom and dad here tonight to celebrate that with me. And my wife Jennifer, one of my guys is on duty tonight, so I hope he's being safe out there. So thank you to the community and the support you give us, because one of the things that we cannot accomplish is serving you without that support that we have every day, and making sure that that state-of-the-art service that we claim we have is something that is funded, and there's some beautiful new apparatus sitting outside, and it's, you know, those types of things that really make us a success. So I thank you for your trust. It's been great. I said earlier tonight, I started out in the basement of the station with village board meetings, and I get to finish it here, which is really exciting, and being a part of this building. And like Mr. Marino said earlier, you know, it's there's still a lot more of the book. There's another chapter or two to read or write, and I hope to be able to do that with the same level of pride and dedication that I have up until now. So thank you, everyone.
Yeah, I would be remiss if I didn't say a few words about the fire chief that I've done, now it's 10 years, and I've spent most of my time as the administrator, as you as the fire chief. And I still think back at those days. We met over coffee, trying to figure out whether or not this would make sense to bring in the Mundelein, and that wasn't on either one of our minds 7 years ago. But I just wanted to thank you publicly and acknowledge that you're leaving the department better than when you came. It was a great department when you got here, and you've made it better. You've done more to make sure that our fire personnel are trained. We have some of the best equipment in Lake County, if not in the state. You've done a tremendous job. And if that is not hard enough, you did that throughout the recession. That's a challenge. And you came on board in 2007. We went into arguably the biggest recession in this country, and we're just now starting to get out. And so you served at a time where it's been very difficult. Budgets have been tight, and I know that you've over the years have had to do more with less taxpayers' dollars, which is a testament to everything that you've done since you've been here. And so I'll miss the counsel that you've given me, and I want to wish you the best going forward. And I know that the Illinois Chiefs have got somebody that's going to be a great executive director. So thanks for your service.
There we go. All right, that takes us to public hearings. There are none. We will have a liquor commission meeting later on. That takes us to the mayor's report. First up are commission reappointments. There are 6. I'll just read the list of names in the commission, and ideally we'll take one motion to approve all of them. So I'll need a motion to approve the following. Tom Ouimet for the Economic Development Commission. Gerald Bryn for the Economic Development Commission, Thomas Frazier for the Mundelein Community Days Commission, Charles Butler Jr. for the Planning and Zoning Commission, Karen Schuman for the Human Relations Commission, and James Kupek for the Police Pension Board. I'd like a motion, please, to approve the commission reappointments of all 6.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Meyer, second by Sullivan. Discussion?
Please.
Yes, Trustee Voss.
In my light of our new ordinance that has term limits, are any of these people at 12 years?
No.
And have you received recommendations from all of their commission heads?
Let's see. One, yes. He is the head of that one. Yes.
All of their chairmen have recommended that they be retained.
I've talked to all the chairmen about the status of their commissions in light of, for all of these.
Well, I'm particularly concerned about some of the commissioners who have, due to their travel or work requirements, have maybe not had the best of attendance. And I talked to someone just this evening who assures me that he can, by FaceTime,
Yes.
participate, and also will make phone calls that he's required to make as a commissioner. Based on that promise, I will vote in the affirmative, but I hope that we are not just appointing these people and leaving them, but following up on some of them that we know are maybe being pulled in other directions.
No, the situation you refer to, I've had that full discussion. Yes.
Okay, all
I'm completely apprised of that whole thing.
right, thank you.
Okay, anyone else?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Trustee
I
Sullivan.
will relieve Trustee Voss. I would say that, with the exception of Karen Schuman, the Human Relations Commission, I have seen all these individuals working. I know them personally, and I think they come, in my view, highly recommended, so we should rest easy.
Thank you, Mr. Sullivan.
And certainly Karen Schuman is an individual who has represented us well. And certainly, I have no reservations in regard to her. Thank you.
Well, I would offer this, if any trustee wishes to pull any of these off, and we would vote on them separate, I would offer that at this time. Otherwise, we'll move forward. Okay? Very good. All right, clerk, please call the roll.
Meyer? Yes. Sullivan?
Yes.
Abernathy? Yes. Kim? Yes. Voss?
Yes.
Semple?
Yes.
Motion carries. Very good. Those of you that are here being reappointed, can you raise your hand? All right, we have Mr. Brin over here. Okay. Excellent. Well, congratulations. All right, thank you for your service and volunteering. That takes us to appointing Timothy Leidig as acting fire chief. I need a motion to adopt a resolution appointing Deputy Fire Chief Timothy Leidig as acting fire chief following the resignation of Chief Timothy Sashko.
So moved. Second.
All right, who said what? Trustee Meyer is the first, and Trustee Kim is the second. Okay. Discussion, or do we have any comments on that? Just very good, okay. Any comments? Questions?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm just wondering what the time frame is for a replacement. It seems like when we went through this last time, we left our acting chief to act for a year, and then said that he wasn't able to be the chief, and I would not like to see us take that long again.
Yeah, we expect to be making a decision, starting the process. We wanted to have, I think when the mayor and I discussed it, we wanted to have the new board seated and then start the process, and so we expect that we would have a decision made at the end of the summer, in that August, September.
Okay.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, clerk, please call the roll.
Meyer? Yes. Kim? Yes. Semple?
Yes.
Voss?
Yes.
Sullivan?
Yes.
Abernathy? Yes.
Very good, motion carries. Next up, Mundelein Community Connection Funding Request. I need a motion to approve a purchase order and payment to Mundelein Community Connection in the amount of $30,000.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Motion by trustee Sullivan,
Second.
second by trustee Abernathy. Discussion?
Oh, yeah.
No? No discussion? Really? You know what? What I'd like to do is ask the folks from Mundelein Community Connection to come on up. You have a presentation, I believe. I do. Okay?
Really?
Yes.
I can't just say what I was going to say first? Doesn't have anything to do with that.
We
It
have-
has to do with that it was in the budget for 25,000.
Well, that should probably come up after they make their presentation.
Okay.
Well, you already made the point, so we're good.
I'll have
I'm sure you'll
more.
make the point again.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't doubt that at all. Okay.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sybil Schechter-Kelly. I am the president of Mundelein Community Connection. I'd like to introduce the chairs of our committees that we hold in Mundelein. Gary Gunther is here from Farmers Market. Krista Lawrence is here from our Art Festival. Tony Christie is not here from Park on Park.
There you
Are
go.
you saying I'm short? Ryan Zitko is here representing the Beer Fest. We also have our, some of our board members. Jerry Brin is our treasurer. Nancy Piasecki is a board member. And of course, our boss, Terry Scriba, is always here with us. I know your time is valuable, so I just wanted to take a minute and summarize some of the events that we do for Mundelein. Our first is Park on Park. It's been around for quite a while. There are about 2,000 guests for this. There's 5 a year. There's 500 volunteer hours put in for this event. We pay for their liability insurance, and we volunteer quite a bit. If you come to Park on Park, you'll see Mundelein Community Connection has our own table for information, for anything that the guests need. They also now are holding a motorcycle event, and there's 400 guests for that, and they usually have about 10 volunteers for that one day. We are really proud about our craft beer festival. We have 45 volunteers. We're planning or hoping to have at least 1,700 people, and there's 300 volunteer hours put in on that. A lot of work. Our farmers market is really taking off. Gary is new this year, and we're very excited about it. Our new location is going to be Santa Maria on 45. Plenty of cars going by. How many?
28,000.
28,000. So it's going to be a great thing. There's at least 10 volunteers and 500 of planning hours and volunteer hours for that. Krista is here from our Arts and Crafts Festival. There's 20 volunteers. We usually get about 2,000 people coming through. It's really, really great. And there's about 200 hours of planning on that one. One World Festival, we partner with the Park District, we partner with the library, and we partner with Fremont Library, thank you. Human Relations. Oh, Human Relations also, sorry. There's 100 volunteer hours put on that, and the first couple, well, the last one kind of got rained out, but there's about 100 volunteer hours, and we thank you for all the help that you do to help us for everything. And then, of course, we have our Little Santa's Cottage. We need all these volunteers to help us run these events. It takes a village, and so we are proud to bring this to Mundelein to help grow Mundelein and make people aware of Mundelein. I thank you for your time and your consideration and the continued support that the village does for us. Anybody have any questions?
No, any questions? Okay. Yes, trustee Kim.
Thank you. I had a quick question on the budget request. Last year, your organization had asked for $30,000, and it was mentioned that 5,000 was for a trailer. So this year, you're also asking for 30,000, or is it a typo and it's supposed to be 25,000? I only asked because a couple meetings ago, we kicked around 25,000, so now I'm confused.
I'm not exactly sure. I thought it was 30. Just to let you know, we do not pay rent right now. If we had to pay rent, we would be in really big trouble. I don't know the exact amount that was asked for. I had heard that it was 30,000. That's what we had asked for.
Okay.
So I don't know what's in the budget.
Well, one thing, it gets confusing because I think the last conversation the board had was to put it in this year's budget, the budget that ends in 2016. This funding is for the current fiscal year, which I believe was 30,000 budgeted. That fiscal year ends May 30th of this year. So that's this funding from this fiscal year. And the reason we do that is because the fiscal year for Mundelein Community Connection runs through January 31st. Then after that, they need to have an audit. The audit's presented, or financial review is presented to the village, and they get that in sometime in March, which is why it's on the agenda, or late March, which is why it's on the agenda today.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. Do you have a, okay, very good.
In your audit, it says management has elected to omit substantially all of the disclosures ordinarily included in financial statements.
Okay.
There are various degrees of financial reporting. The most, one that would take the most time and the most expensive is a certified audit where everything is examined. The next is a review where procedures are done not to the extent of a certified audit. The next is what's called a compilation with notes, okay? The notes explain the accounting method, it explains various items that that a person who had any idea of financial statements would know. And then there is the compilation without notes, okay? That's the most inexpensive way to get a financial statement done by a CPA firm. So thus, there are no notes. And I can tell you, me being treasurer, that there's really no disclosures that we would have to make under the compilation without notes. So that's the reason for it. I hope you understand.
Okay.
Thank you.
And I would add that Mr. Brin is a certified public accountant. Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank-
so can I get back to my original thing?
Yeah,
that I
are we
think-
finished with, okay, we'll go into the discussion, and if it has to come back,
Okay.
we'll come back.
We'll go sit down. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for your
Very good.
time.
Thank you. Trustee Voss.
So I think that Mr. Flynn might have explained. So this current budget year that ends for us next week, I think, you're saying that in that budget, we gave them 30,000?
Yes.
Are we positive? Okay.
Yes.
And then for the next year, it is in the budget that they will get 25,000?
I don't know.
We're voting on that tonight.
Yes, if the budget that was presented to us passes,
Yeah.
they are only budgeted for 25,000 in the next fiscal year,
Ending 17?
ending 16.
There's 30,000 in the proposed budget for fiscal this 2016.
Okay, didn't we have this conversation? I feel like I'm hallucinating a little bit.
Because I remember you and I actually having a discussion.
Okay, so because this is my last time, this will be my last time to make this argument, and I'm going to go for it. Mundelein Community Connections is a great volunteer organization. It is a way for the community residents of Mundelein to participate and really important activities for Mundelein. I myself am a volunteer. I think it's great that we all volunteer and help Mundelein Community Connection. However, there are a lot of other volunteer organizations in this town that could muster the same number of volunteer hours were they given the opportunity, and would love a chance to get some of the $30,000 that we have historically, with regularity, given. And again, I have always said that this is like when you have grown children, you hope that they become independent at some point, and you've taught them how to be independent, self-sustaining adults. It's the same thing with Mundelein Community Connection. I'm not denying that they're a wonderful organization. I'm not denying that they host wonderful events. I'm not denying that they don't have volunteers. We do. We have great community of volunteers, and they are a great channel for those volunteers. But it seems to me that we should stop giving them favoritism by funding them and not requiring them to receive their own funding. I think that if they were required to, they could receive funding, and because we don't require them, they don't. And other volunteer organizations throughout Mundelein say on a fairly regular basis, why aren't we given the opportunity? We would get volunteers to be at Park on Park. We would get volunteers to handle the Beer Fest. There are lots of other community groups that have people who are happy to donate volunteer hours, and we should give them the opportunity and the funding. And that's the last time you'll hear that.
Trustee Kim?
Could I ask a question real quick? Well, I guess I will. From the beginning, was this supposed to be a temporary funding, or was it supposed to be a portion for every single year?
Well, it predates me, so.
Predates me. It doesn't predate me. I can add a little bit of light to that. When Mundelein Community Connection started, it was known as, well, it had a different name, and then it became Mundelein Main Street. When it was Mundelein Pride, then it became a Mundelein Main Street organization. The Main Street organization format is a national organization to help promote the revitalization of downtowns, and as part of the Main Street formula, they look at a community involvement, the community and the organization, and the community they recommend participate in the Main Street organization anywhere from 30 to 50%. I think the rate that we pay Mundelein Main Street is in that 30% or less of their total budget. And it's right around the 30% level, I think. So the concept of Main Street is to have a buy-in from the community and self-sufficiency beyond that from the organization. So that's why every year when they give their financial statement, you'll see a statement in there that they have raised over a certain amount of money, that they raise more than what we give them. So it goes back to the Main Street formula. And that the Main Street organization, Mundelein Community Connection, left the Main Street organization because of additional requirements from the Main Street National, and they set up on their own, but still follow the basic guidelines of Main Street concept, and so the board has kept following that same concept as well.
Okay. In the previous years, I voted it down, and I'd like to give a couple of reasons why. It is a private organization, I believe, just like the Lions or the Jaycees. In some other towns, the Jaycees do run the carnivals. I would like to spread the wealth. In some ways, so I looked it up in other towns, and there are other towns where they cut the funding in half, then they cut it down to $5,000, and so then they're, standing on their own legs, as Trustee Voss said. So I've been waiting the few years to see if that happens, and so I didn't know if it's just something we budget all the time or if we eventually will cut it down lower. I would like to spread the wealth, though, because as we had a couple weeks ago, someone from the Legion came, and they wanted some funding to send some girls to Girl State down south. And I'm told historically we do not give to any other organizations. And so I feel a little conflicted about that. I don't mind funding MCC. I love the organization. I have nothing personally against the people. I volunteered for you guys before as well. It's just that I would like to sponsor one of the sponsorship levels, which I know you offer Medline and others as well. And I know we also spend about $6,000 in banners and printing in the summertime, and Public Works and other things that we put in on top of the $30,000. And so it's not that I don't want to give any money, it's just that the $30,000 itself, I'd like to see it spread out. And since this is an all or nothing, then that's what I have to vote on. Thank you.
Okay. Trustee Sullivan. Oh, someone else. Okay, Trustee
No,
Sullivan.
thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't know how you can compare the Main Street or the Mundelein Community Connection to Legion or other organizations when the focus of Mundelein Community Connection is to bring activities and recognition of our downtown business district. Sure, there are lots of good organizations in town. Legion is one of the best of them. But they don't have the focus, they don't have the intent that Mundelein Community Connection has. Mundelein Community Connection, when somebody said it's a private organization, no, it's a quasi-public organization. Not only are we giving them thousands of dollars to supplement their activities, we are providing them thousands of dollars of in-kind work through our police, fire, and public works personnel. But the goal is what we all have in mind, to achieve a focus on our downtown business district, on our core area. And I think they've done that effectively. And they're doing it more and more effectively for the same amount of money. So it doesn't concern me to provide them with that support. It would be nice someday in the future that they'd come to us and they say, yeah, we got $250,000 in cash reserves, we don't need you anymore. That may well happen someday.
To God's ears.
But it hasn't happened yet. And so I think this is an important organization. It's full of lots of well-meaning, hard-working people. And it's, in my view, money well spent. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, Trustee Semple.
I, like Mike Flynn, have been involved with this organization a long time. Back when it was Mundelein Pride, a startup group, it was just a handful of people, and it grew and became a Mundelein Main Street organization, as Mike had mentioned. I actually was part of the group that went and did a dog and pony show in the State of Illinois building downtown Chicago, trying to get them the designation as a Main Street organization. As Mike had mentioned, there was a lot of strings and rules attached with that group. One of them being was a significant fee to be a Main Street organization. And the group hasn't been rolling in money and opted not to be a Main Street organization and became Mundelein Community Connection. They do a lot for the village, as Trustee Sullivan alluded to. When you look at the online information about the village of Mundelein, a lot of what we publicize are events sponsored by Mundelein Community Connection. John Lebedo mentioned earlier, giving the fire chief accolades, reminding everybody that we are a couple feet out of the Great Recession, and this Mundelein Community Connection has weathered the storm, and if it's in part because of our contribution as a board, I think it's money well spent. We're going to be taking up in a little while the possibility of writing out checks as incentives for new businesses to open up in Mundelein. We have a proven commodity here in Mundelein Community Connection, and the $30,000 is money well spent as far as I'm concerned, and they can count on my support and my continued support sitting inside Santa's cottage every winter until I can't do it anymore. Thank you.
Trustee Abernathy.
Well, I guess I'm going to ditto a lot of what Trustee Semple said. Most people know my feeling on Mundelein Community Connection as being a board member back when it was Mundelein Pride. Being there from, actually on 2 different boards with Mundelein Pride and Mundelein Main Street. The goal of this organization is to solely promote Mundelein. And Trustee Voss, I understand, and for years you have been saying other organizations to let them have a chance to come and run some of these events. My question is, has anyone ever come in and asked and said, even with the turmoil, no offense, with the turmoil with the farmer's market last year, did anyone come in and say, hey, we'll take over, we'll do it? Nobody has ever stepped up to say, let us try it. I have asked members of Mundelein Business Alliance if they would like, they wanted nothing to do with these events. They don't want to do this. That's not their goal. That's not their thing, is not running events for the village. So I respect your position, Trustee Voss, but again, the $30,000 that we spend to aid Mundelein Community Connection is nothing but money spent to enhance our village and to bring people into Mundelein. 1,700 people come to Mundelein for a craft beer festival. The majority do not live in Mundelein. Park on Park, the majority of people that come every Wednesday, once a month, are not from Mundelein. They're spending money at our businesses, in our town. They're getting to know our town. They're getting to learn more about our town. I know we're going to have other restaurants that are going to be opening up around Park on Park. It'll bring more business to them. We're doing an incentive program. This is just part of the same thing. So I fully support Mundelein Community Connection. Excuse me.
Okay.
If I could.
Yes,
I'm sorry.
Trustee Kim.
I just wanted to point out that I don't think it's so much the matter of, either us going out to ask other people to do it or, other groups coming to ask us to do it. I mean, there are other people who may want to do the farmer's market, but that's, MCC's right now, and no one wants to take that away. At the same time, there is another car show group in town. So it's not as though these aren't happening. If it weren't for the fact that MCC's doing it, I think the point is just being made that, they're the only ones we're funding.
Anyone else? Okay, clerk, please call the roll.
Sullivan?
Yes.
Abernathy?
Yes.
Semple?
Yes.
Voss?
No.
Kim?
No.
Meyer?
Yes.
It's 42. Okay. Motion carries. Okay. That takes us to a couple proclamations and then the Village Hall Study Committee. Okay, so here we go. Let me have to go back and forth here a little bit. This is a mayoral proclamation designating May 10th through 16th as National Police Week. And rather than read the whole thing, I'll just summarize this and just say, it's appropriate that we take a week of the year and designate it as National Police Week. And a lot of times people say, well, there's a lot of these mayoral proclamations about this day, Arbor Day, this week, that week, and it means a lot to various organizations nationwide that communities like ours do this kind of designation, because they keep a list and they just bring awareness. But, if you think about it, a police officer, when they, get in the squad car every day, you never know what's going to happen. Every day's different. Every day's new. My brother is a police officer, and I know kind of what the family goes through with every day. There's a degree of unpredictability there. And so if you come across an officer, just say thank you for the service that they're giving our community. I've had a lot of interaction, especially with the Citizens Police Academies and also with the DARE graduations. And we have just a stellar police department, the CALEA certified, that we go through every couple of years. That we really should be very proud of our police department. But please, if you run across a police officer anywhere and you have a casual moment with them, please thank them for their service, okay? Also, we have a proclamation for National Arson Awareness Week, and the proclamation has just a lot of statistics about the problem of arson and the role of accelerants. And it's something just to, this is May 3rd through 9th, is National Arson Awareness Week, and that the availability of accelerants for any citizen to commit arson is a big problem. And you know, I don't know what more to say about it than this. I don't know if you have something you want to add, Chief, but I know in parts of the country where you have forests that are very dry, it's a big problem, and it comes up to the realm of terrorism at that point. So
It does, and that's one of the things that they watch very carefully with the National Forest Service. And I think, we're blessed. We don't have this problem in Mundelein, but we want to keep it that way. So the awareness program of making sure that we acknowledge what's going on a national level. You can see what's going on in Baltimore tonight. Now, that's a large urban city, but we're fortunate not to have that. So it's just a stark reminder of that.
very good, thank you. All right, item F, Old Village Hall Study Committee. We have 5 motions, and these are just coming off of, I guess it's been about a month and a half, I'd say, since we had the Old Village Hall Study Report come out. And so we have 5 motions, and so we're going to go through one of these at a time here. First, I need a motion to accept the Old Village Hall Study Report.
So moved.
Motion by Meyer, second by Kim. Discussion? Yes, Trustee.
I just want to take a moment to thank our village staff that put in a lot of hours on this, a lot of evening hours, Pete Shubkagel and Pierre Black, administrative assistant. I mean, they put in a lot of extra time on this project, both off hours and during working hours, to pull it together and put it through. And I once again want to thank the committee of volunteers who also spent a lot of time working on this project, went through and looked at every aspect, tried to get every single piece of information, and really did a very thorough job. Also spent a lot of time. We had a timetable, and they came in right on time on every single milestone, and so there was a lot of work there, so I'd like to thank them also.
Yep, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, clerk, please take the roll.
Meyer,
Yes.
Kim,
Yes.
Voss,
Yes.
Abernathy,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Semple.
Yes.
Okay, next up is a motion to accept the Old Village Hall Study Report's recommendations and conclusions.
So moved.
Motion by Meyer,
Second.
second by Kim. Discussion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Trustee Sullivan.
In going through the recommendations and the findings, the survey that this group obtained indicated that a majority of residents did not wish to see any public money spent in regard to the Old Village Hall. That is, no taxes spent in regard to the building. And so I would like the board, as it reconvenes both its new members and its present members, to understand that that was a finding. The second concern is that the Old Village Hall is in the TIF district. And as such, it should be, according to the goals of the TIF, converted to non-public use in order that increment and funding through the TIF mechanism will be created. The interest in a performing arts center or some type of public use is really against the goals of the TIF district. And thirdly, although I'm certainly willing to vote in favor of these recommendations and conclusions, I find that there are some cost estimates that are subject to at least my questions, and that is, first of all, in regard to the cost of demolition of the Old Village Hall. I think that cost is high, as estimated. And on the other hand, I think the cost of remodeling or refurbishing or converting the Old Village Hall in the area of $800,000 is substantially low. Knowing what the Old Village Hall looks like, what its physical characteristics are,
what its physical limitations are, I suspect that if that were to be converted to any type of use, that it would be substantially greater than tearing it down and building a new building. And so with those thoughts in mind, I will approve the recommendations and conclusions, but I have those misgivings. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I respond?
Yes, Trustee Meyer, yes.
Yeah, the number one recommendation was to turn it into a restaurant, and so that would put it into
Yes.
the TIF district and, you know, as that. Now, just because an arts kind of, you know, concept center or cultural center, that doesn't necessarily mean it's government-run. There are private art centers and private cultural centers, so that also could, you know, have a degree of putting it back into the TIF also. When you're talking about costs, on the demo, that was demolition and returning it to a grass-seeded lot. And so there were, and asbestos abatement and other types of lead and a variety of different things that were factored into that. And when you're talking about remodeling or, you know, rehabbing, that very definitely is low. And there were some caveats in that report which identified that, you know, there are not permits or architectural or engineering involved in that. And with anything is once you start doing something, the costs add up because you always run into things that are unexpected. So that is a ballpark, you know, it's going to be a minimum of this amount of money. There were notations in there of things that were above and beyond that. And, you know, that could go even higher once you start doing it. So your concern is very valid. But I just wanted to note that we did realize those factors and that 800,000 is a low amount without factoring in a lot of other aspects.
Anyone else? Anyone else? Okay, clerk, please take the roll.
Meyer?
Yes.
Kim?
Yes.
Abernathy? Yes. Semple?
Yes.
Voss? Sullivan?
Yes.
Motion carries. Next up, a motion to authorize staff to begin marketing the Old Village Hall property and building as a prime location for a restaurant.
So moved.
Motion by Meyer,
Second.
second by Sullivan. Discussion.
Yes,
Trustee Sullivan.
please.
In marketing the Old Village Hall, it seems a logical approach to enter into some type of agreement or, I don't know, partnership with the owner of the restaurant that is immediately west of the Village Hall. It would seem to me that the logical turnkey operation would be to turn the Old Village Hall or much of the land around it into a parking lot in order for that restaurant to move into the building and then demolish the restaurant known as Taco Burrito Express and create some type of corner feature and parking lot there. So, at the same time, all of that is for others to decide. I think it is advisable to speak with the owner of that restaurant corner, tell him what we have in mind, and see if he would enter into some type of, at least informal agreement in regard to a joint marketing process. Thank you.
Yes, Trustee Voss.
I'm a little bit curious about the marketing it as a prime location for a restaurant. Does that mean, what exactly does that mean?
Well, I mean, it doesn't preclude anybody else coming to the table and saying, hey, I'd like to use that property for some other purpose. It's just that if one of the conclusions we came to is that Holly Street or that general area, and there's another motion there that would determine the area, should become like a restaurant row concept. And so from that aspect, that if you had and part of the discussion was like a white tablecloth restaurant that anchored that location, that it would be a good momentum and impetus for other places to then start flocking the area for restaurants.
Well, if I could, what was explained to me by staff was that there's some question about whether that area could be a restaurant row, or we already have another area that is giving itself towards a restaurant row. And rather than market something specifically as a restaurant, when we haven't done the study to really determine that that's where it wants to be, it seems like we're sort of putting the cart ahead of the horse. Why wouldn't we just market the Village Hall and let someone else come up with what it is that they want to put there? We can say, you could make a fine location for a restaurant, but I don't think that we should focus ourselves in one area over another. I understand, Trustee Meyer, that the commission or the committee that you had thought it would be a good place to put a restaurant, and pretty much everywhere in town is a good place to put a restaurant. I think that the market will figure out if that's the right place for the restaurant.
A couple things. One, you can have a larger area than just a single street. You could take, Hawley Street and down to Park Street. Some of the areas that you're talking about could be included in that concept of restaurant row. And there is a study, that's another motion on exploring and designating areas. But there's also been some interest by some restaurants for that location. So, that's part of the impetus.
Well, so what I'd like to know is, can we authorize staff to begin marketing this building? Period. Yeah, period. And they can suggest it's a prime location, but I don't want it solely focused on a restaurant. I'm just not clear on how that happens.
I think that's a good idea. I was concerned about motion number 4 and 5. And of course, the last part of motion number 3 probably is of equal concern. Market the restaurant. We know what the recommendation is. Somebody comes in and says, I want to do a shoe store, and somebody else says, I want to do a restaurant. Well, okay, let's sell it to the guy who wants to do the restaurant. Nevertheless, I wouldn't limit this focus on specific uses.
Well, I think we should hear from staff in terms of what it would look like to market it. When a developer comes around, what would marketing look like? That we would simply present the report that gives the recommendation. In the sense, that's marketing in and of itself. But I'd like to hear from staff in terms of what that might look like.
Can't we just list it to sell the property?
Well, first thing you have to do to sell any property, you'd be listing it or selling it as surplus property. So anytime you sell land that's owned by Mundelein, then you have to get an appraisal on that property, and we've done that a number of times. You have to understand what the value is, so you have to have an appraisal on it. So that, to me, would seem to be step one, and the value of that property would be based on what somebody would think that building is, which I think the general thinking is it's a liability because of the extensive amount of repair that has to be done. It's not saying that it can't be repaired, but I think from an appraisal standpoint, it would be seen as an added cost to develop the land to its full potential. You would probably have to raise the structure. And so you have to give some direction to the appraiser. You would give him the current zoning and all of the possible uses that would be permitted under that zoning classification. And presumably, I haven't researched it, but presumably a restaurant would fall into that category along with a multitude of other types of uses. And so that, to me, would seem to be step one. And once you did that, then I think you have the freedom to do what you want in terms of marketing. The simple thing is to put it on our website, to have the press pick up on it and let everybody know that we're selling it. The other would be simply put a sign on the property marketing it as available. And to Trustee Sullivan's point, it may make some sense to talk to the neighboring property owner and see if it doesn't make sense to combine the properties together for a larger project. I mean, there's a lot to consider, or you can simply list it with a real estate agent. So, I mean, those are some of the possibilities. It's kind of, I think it would be, you know, the board should decide. I think the first decision is what are we going to do with the property? And that is going to be left up to the new board on what are we going to do.
Well, then is it right to even, to that point, is it right that we're even addressing these issues right now? Because I, along with Trustee Sullivan, agree that the report that the residents answered in that survey was they do not want tax dollars spent. So I agree wholeheartedly. So, and I know I've mentioned to the mayor, number 4, I don't mind if we have an Arts and Cultural Commission. I think it's great. I think we need to bring more art and more culture to the town. I don't have a problem creating that commission. But I do, like I told you, have a problem with spending money on something that we don't know what we want to do with it. If we want to, you know, we've talked of other areas where a restaurant row should be. I don't know that, you know, that's where we really should think about a restaurant row. We've also talked about over on Park Street, and that's what we want to find out. But if we're going to, we need to decide whether we're keeping this building or not. If we're not, then we need to list the building.
But we're not talking about the building as much as we're talking about the property right now.
Okay, then the property, it's the same, it goes together though.
But we're not talking about spending money at this point either. We're not talking about spending public tax dollars. We're not talking about the building. We're talking about the property at this point.
Well, we are, because there's still heat in the building, there's still lights on the building, there's still maintenance to the building, there's still maintenance to the property. So it's not like there's nothing that's being done. So these are still expenses we're gonna have. I know that at 11 o'clock at night, the lights are on in the building. Okay, so there's expenses with keeping that building. So we need to decide, and I don't know if it's fair to make that decision. We have 3 new sitting trustees coming in.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying, we have 3 new trustees coming, and then we're making decisions that are gonna be forced on them. Is that fair to do?
Well, then perhaps we should just scrap the rest of the agenda.
I don't, not the entire agenda.
Just
All right,
saying.
let me throw this out. You know, there seems to be consensus from the report, from discussions here, that it would be ideal to have a restaurant there, whether it's the current building that's been renovated by another party that wants to renovate it and put a restaurant in there, or if a developer wants to come and raise it and put a restaurant there. Ideally, it seems to me that that was, as a private use, that would be one of the top things, if not the top thing, that we would like to see. Right? I mean, I think that's what I'm picking up on from the report and from discussions. No? You can say you want to let the market decide. Well, of course you let the market decide. But if we're going to weigh in and lean and kind of inch someone, a developer, towards a use that the community would find in high demand, that's what would be leaned toward. That's pretty clear.
Well, I think, I'm sorry, can I?
Yes.
I think that's because they were only given certain options in the survey. So,
No.
I don't remember that it was, so, like, you could say that you could put a multi-tenant building there?
It was open, and there were, in that category, there were all kinds of different responses. So, I mean, you weren't limited on what you wanted to see it for.
But, okay, I'm not gonna belabor this anymore. I would like to see it put on the market. I would like to see it put on the market and let the market decide what it is.
With the option to sell or not sell, right? Yeah, I agree.
Okay. So, as it relates to this, when you put it on the market, you could say, great site for a restaurant, right? That's what we're talking about here. That's what that would be, marketing it as a prime location. Look what it says. And building as a prime location for a restaurant.
Yes, we're asking how you could market it and not do that. We keep saying that, and you keep putting it back in.
But somebody could come and say, hey, I want the property, but I don't want it for a restaurant. We're not going to turn them away, we're going to entertain it.
Okay, so can we just marketing Old Village Hall property, period?
Without saying,
And building as a prime location for a restaurant?
if it's a prime location, a restaurant will know.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a suggestion. Yes, yes. Trustee Sullivan, are you good with that?
Yes.
Just removing that clause?
Yes, please.
Trustee
Thank
Kim?
you.
I'm all right either way.
Okay. Trustee Semple? Okay. Trustee Meyer? Sorry.
That's all
Okay. All right, so then we need a motion to amend the motion to remove the clause, or the clause, and building as a prime location for a restaurant, and we'll just put the period at the end of the word property. Do I have a motion to do that?
Well, don't the people who first and second it just amend the motion?
Is that right? Okay.
That was Meyer.
That was Meyer.
Meyer and Sullivan.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Yes, I agree.
Okay. Any other conversation? Okay. Clerk, please take the roll.
Meyer,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Abernathy,
Yes.
Kim.
Yes.
Voss,
Yes.
Semple.
Yes.
Okay, that takes us to item 4, motion to direct staff to explore the formation of an Arts and Cultural Commission.
So moved.
Motion by Meyer.
Second.
Second by Abernathy. Discussion?
Yes, please.
Yes, Trustee Voss.
I'm not really clear on what an Arts and Cultural Commission is.
That's why we're going to explore.
Are we given some direction?
Can I,
Yes.
from my understanding, thinking about this, what it would be is the Arts and Cultural Commission, that is where the art boxes that Trustee Kim, the Art Box Commission would fall under this commission. No, but I mean, they would probably work on the One World Festival.
Yes.
This Arts and Cultural Commission would also maybe help with our police statue fund.
Perhaps.
Okay, so, I mean, there's a lot of ways we can bring arts and something cultural to the village. Am I,
I'm sorry, just so that I understand, because we do already have a Human Relations Commission that is in charge of the One World Festival. So when we're saying cultural in this manner, we're not meaning having to do with multicultural. We're meaning to do with enrichment of humanities culture. Yes?
Arts, theater,
Humanities.
correct.
So maybe Arts and Humanities Commission. Okay.
If they're exploring it, they can come up with a name.
With their own
too.
name, got
Right.
it.
yeah.
Anyone else? Clerk, please take the roll.
Meyer,
Yes.
Abernathy.
Yes.
Semple,
Yes.
Voss,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Kim. Yes, but could I have a comment at the end of? I guess it's too late for questions, but, it just came to me, actually, that these other commissions are meant to sunset. And so having an ever-evolving one means we'll just have it forever, huh?
The
Like-
Art Box Committee.
Like the Art Box Committee eventually will run out of boxes. The Statue Committee will eventually either have a statue or not, but then they're meant to sunset. So this would replace them, but then be ongoing. Okay.
With other things, either continuation of, art boxes, but there could be other concepts along that same theory, but they would continually looking at how could we beautify our town with arts.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, motion carries. Finally, number 5, motion for staff to explore the restaurant row concept and where a restaurant row should be designated.
Oh, sorry, motion.
Motion
So
by
moved.
Trustee Meyer,
I'll second it.
second by Trustee Abernathy. Discussion?
Yeah, I think.
Okay.
My question here on this is, again, this is going to cost. This is where we're going to spend probably close to, I believe, 90. We have money, is this where we're going to spend money?
Well, there was 90,000 allocated for community development for purposes of planning. This could be, or the money set aside for that could be spent in part on this. But
Yeah, I have a little.
But that's something that would come to the board later and for further discussion along those more detailed lines down the road.
And don't forget, the intent of the recommendation from the committee was to have staff look at it. Now, if later on the village board decides they want to designate money to do something, that's later on the village board. But that was not the intent of the committee. It was the intent for staff to look at the concept. And if you guys decide to spend money later on to do it, that's up to you, the new board.
But staff exploring that concept means more.
Staff is going to explore.
Yes, they're going to explore it, and exploring means they're going to get a study.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to explore it with the study.
Yeah,
No,
we've,
but that's a future decision by a later board.
No.
It's not a necessarily given.
Well, John just
there, maybe I can just add some information to the discussion. The money that we placed in the budget for next year is intended to continue on re-envisioning the downtown, if you will. Similar to what we've done with the Village Hall subdivision, to create a very specific plan to help guide the redevelopment of the downtown and the redevelopment of the downtown, I guess. And so there are parts, there's been just general discussion over the years that it just happens to coincide with the Village Hall Study Committee, that we've talked about, you know, creating more synergy, if you will, with entertainment area. And entertainment area, for the most part, would be restaurants and different things. And so it makes sense to staff that we should really vet that out a little bit more through a public process, through a professional firm that can help think through what we have today, and does it make sense to locate all these restaurants together? And if we did, if that made sense, where would that be? We have some on Park Street. So there's lots of ideas, but I think that the board and future boards would be best served if they could think about that. It's not going to be the only thing that this planning firm is hired to do. It's going to be one small component of the scope of services that we would look at. And that would be as if we wanted to create a restaurant row or this entertainment area, where should it be? That's just a question. That's a small part of the scope. And so I would imagine it would be much broader than that. But when I say that we'd hire somebody, it wouldn't just be to explore Restaurant Row. It would be a much broader look at an area that would be along the Hawley corridor, north to perhaps 176, the Park Street, the Seymour, the Hawley, the Morris Avenues, kind of the core of the downtown. Something that hasn't been looked at comprehensively, and I don't think ever.
But Mr. Mayor, for
Yes.
the purposes, Don, could you?
Oh, sorry.
For the purposes, though, of the Old Village Hall study report, you know, if you guys decide to expand that in a broader scope, that is a future board. So I want everybody not to complicate it and push it beyond into what you're talking about in the future. I want to limit it on this motion to the Village Hall study report and what we presented, and what you do with that if you expand it later is not part of what we're talking about here tonight. So I really would like to keep those concepts separate, and if you choose to incorporate that later on, that's a different board.
I think that's very reasonable. Anyone else? Clerk, please call the roll.
Meyer?
Yes.
Abernathy?
No. Sullivan? Semple?
Yes.
Voss?
No.
Kim?
No.
So we
Right,
have four
fails.
noes, 4 noes.
Okay, fails. Okay. Interesting, because that would have been a great, well, this is a great segue into this discussion, so we'll just keep it upbeat regardless. We're going to recess into a liquor control, or a liquor commission meeting, where we're going to hear from the Gilardis about some, a real interesting prospect. Everyone's going to want to listen to this. So, I need a motion to recess into the Liquor Control Commission meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Voss, second by Kim. Discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Voss?
Yes.
Kim?
Yes.
Sullivan?
Yes.
Semple?
Yes.
Abernathy?
Yes.
Meyer?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Now I need a motion to, well, let's get this right. Commission meeting is the period of time for public commentary. Does anyone in the audience wish to address the commission from the podium in public commentary? Okay, with that, we'll close the floor and move on to the retail liquor interest expressed by Tina and Phil Gilardi. Folks, would you like to come up and make sure the mic is on and give us your name and...
Oh, there you go. Hi, thank you for seeing us. Yes, my wife and I, obviously you all know we opened Tavern on 60 about 1.5 years ago. We'd like to keep expanding into Mundelein. The store we're interested in, it's actually gone a little bit farther than our original plan. Jerry Cook's here, who owns the building. We're looking for 10 East Park Street. It's currently a tax accounting firm, as well as, it's 8 is the old Intel Wireless, which is next door to it. You would walk in to the accounting firm, to a nice restaurant that would seat 40 to 50 people, has a small private dining room. What I found out from Jerry is that when you take the wall out, in between of that store, there is an opening and a doorway that goes into Intel Wireless. That would be our lounge. It would stay the brick building inside of it, keep the building looking exactly like it is. You would have to be 21 to get into that part of the building, period. Okay? There wouldn't be any of the gambling or the bar accessible to anyone under 21 at all. There would be an additional small little waiting area from the drawing that you guys would have on the front right side. That would be maybe a couple of couches or something along that way for families that had people under 21 that needed to wait for a table. The tax store is very clean. It's very nice. It does not require a tremendous amount of work. Our original plan, which a couple of you knew about, was only for 8 park. That building just wasn't feasible for the amount of work that it was going to need. Bathrooms, a kitchen that was needed to make that work, which is when we decided the 2 stores. I'm listening to a lot of Restaurant Row. I think that area is very nice. I think that Park Street and ourselves can complement each other very well. I know that the DuPonts are doing something with that far right end of a cafe or a country store type thing that they're opening there. And I just think it would be a real nice area. We do have a small concern, as in the parking lot that's across the street. You know, we're just, Philly G's, we have a huge parking problem, you know, with the amount of restaurants that they put in that corner. So we know what that is firsthand. I think there is enough parking, even if that was not available. I don't know what the restrictions are to, we were at PNC today. There's 2 banks that are closed right there also. Okay, can you hold me 1 second? And just for more parking in that area. So that's what we're requesting, liquor and gambling for those 2 properties.
Okay. All right. Any questions?
I
When you-
just, oh,
Go ahead, Trustee Voss.
When are you going to open?
As soon as possible.
So what is realistically?
I think realistically, once I got plans and depending how quickly we could get permits, I don't think it should take more than 4 months, 5 months.
So But how thin are you going to spread yourself? Are you going to be there, Tina? Are you going to be there? Who's going to be there?
This is going to be a lot more of her project. We are also ready and fully confident with the additional training that I've given someone that's worked for me for 17 years at Philly G's, that the reins there are going to be handed over to him greatly. We also plan on being open for breakfast here, so it is a bit more. You know, we want to be open breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Make sure we know the name of the restaurant.
Tina.
Tina G's. That's it. Anyone else? Yes, Trustee Sullivan.
Well, thank you. I think the Gilardis are proven restaurateurs with
Thank you.
a successful record, and I would welcome them to Mundelein and wish them every success.
Thank you.
Trustee Abernathy.
Trustee Sullivan stole my wind. That's exactly what I was going to say. So I know they run an excellent operation. They're very good business owners and happy to have them in town. And look at that, we're getting a restaurant row.
Say yes, let's go, do it. Great idea.
You okay? Okay. Yes, Trustee Kim.
Just a question about the food. Could you talk a little bit about it? I mean, I love food, so I just want.
It's a work in progress a little bit. We don't want to hurt, just like when we opened Tavern, there is very little available at Tavern that's available at Philly G's. Not trying to hurt any of our places. So it wouldn't be anything like Tavern. A quality breakfast. It still would be sandwiches and entrees, but you're not going to see the exact same, entrees available at both places. And we gave a bit of a sample menu there. Some pastas,
Yeah.
some sandwiches, some dinners.
I think it's best described as not quite Philly G's, but nicer than Tavern. So somewhere along the lines. So it's, family friendly, it's gonna be, prices are gonna be really, nice, not too high, but it'll be nicer than Tavern. It'll be just, it's not a bar, it's more of a restaurant.
Okay. And on the other side, families can eat there? They just,
Absolutely.
they would just have to wait in the waiting chairs if someone goes into the lounge, is what you were saying, right?
If I don't have your table ready and you're with your kids, we are not allowing anyone 21 to walk into the lounge.
Okay.
So there'll be an area for that family.
Okay, just while they're waiting for a seat?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Great. Anyone else? All right. I mean, likewise, I'm all for it, of course. Wish you much luck. We have a little thing here that gives you the directions where to go from now in
Okay.
terms of getting your liquor license and progressing in that area, okay? Very good. There you go.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Okay. That's it. Thank you very much. All right, I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Motion by Abernathy, second by Kim. Discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Abernathy?
Yes.
Kim?
Yes.
Meyer?
Yes.
Voss? Sullivan?
Yes.
Semple?
Yes.
Okay, that is adjourned. Okay, now I need a motion to reconvene the village board meeting.
So moved.
Motion by Sullivan, second by Abernathy. Discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Sullivan?
Yes.
Abernathy? Meyer?
Yes.
Semple?
Yes.
Kim?
Yes.
Voss?
Yes.
Motion carries. All right, now in the, let's see, got the attendance? Oh, did we do
We have to do
attendance? Yeah. Oh,
attendance.
now we have to do attendance.
Abernathy?
Present.
Kim?
Here.
Meyer?
Here.
Semple?
Here.
Sullivan? Voss?
Here.
Okay, then we are now in the portion of the meeting for trustee reports. First up, Public Works Committee, Trustee Meyer.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't have anything formally on the agenda, but I would like to take the opportunity to thank the residents for giving me the opportunity to serve them the last 7 years as a trustee. And prior to that, as a plan commissioner, I have enjoyed every moment of it and hope to continue to serve the village of Mundelein going forward in other capacities in that. So I wanted to thank everybody for that. I had something else too. What else did I want? Oh, and I also wanted to congratulate the incoming trustees and that, and, good luck to you, and congratulations and going forward. And I certainly hope that you also take the opportunity to do your research and really look into all the issues and challenge your own positions, too, when you're sitting here and looking at everything. So good luck to you all, and congratulations. So with that, Adam, do you have? Okay, then that would be my report.
Thank you. Next up, Finance Committee. Trustee Sullivan, you're going out with a bang here.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have a number of motions. The first is one to approve the Finance Committee minutes of March 30th, 2015. And I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion by Sullivan, second by Meyer. Discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Sullivan?
Yes.
Meyer?
Yes.
Abernathy?
Motion carries.
Second motion is a motion to approve the Finance Committee meeting minutes of April 13th, 2015. And I will make that motion.
Second.
Motion by Sullivan, second by Meyer. Discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Sullivan?
Yes.
Meyer?
Yes.
Abernathy?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Third motion is a motion to adopt the fiscal year ending 2016 annual budget. This is a motion to approve an annual budget in the amount of $56,463,879. I will make that motion.
Motion by Sullivan,
Second.
second by Meyer. Discussion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
In this budget is an amount to make improvements at our wastewater treatment plant in the amount in exceeding $1 million. This is a mandate coming from the Illinois EPA. I don't think based on law, and it is one that I would urge my colleagues here, sitting as board members, as well as those individuals who will succeed the three of us who are leaving, to look carefully at expenditures, especially when they amount to this type of figure. I would go slowly. What this is meant to do is remove phosphorus from the stream effluent from the wastewater treatment plant into the Des Plaines River. And in my view, and I think I can substantiate the statement, the amount presently going into the Des Plaines River from our wastewater treatment plant is a drop in the bucket compared to that amount of phosphorus that goes into that body of water from lawn fertilizers and agricultural fertilizers. It is an absolute travesty to be mandated by the state of Illinois through its IPA to spend this amount of money for such little effect. This probably is the worst mandate I think I can recall in 16 years, and there have been a lot of them, and I voted against most of them. I will approve this budget, but I would urge my colleagues, our successors, and our staff to look carefully at this and don't be hasty in spending this money, because there are changes coming in the state of Illinois. They're going to be effective changes, and they're going to eliminate special interest mandates like this one. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Clerk, please. Trustee Kim?
Sorry, I'm always half a second late on that, or looking this way. I just had a observation I wanted to make, in that for some of these buckets, I noticed that the reserves are getting low, and I wanted us to seriously consider thinking up some sort of like a revenue brainstorm, or what we can do in the future, because what I don't want to happen is that for 3 years, we keep the levy the same, and now the 4th year we're keeping the levy the same, and that in the 7th year, someone gets this basket that has like low reserves on everything, and we have to look at it then. So if we could, put a little bit of mind to that in the future, how can we build some revenue here, and maybe in some outside the box ways. So just keep that in the back of your minds.
Okay. Anyone else?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things you need to be careful about on out-of-the-box ways, real estate taxes, you're able to take off your income tax. Utility taxes and other out-of-the-box tax buckets don't qualify for your tax as a tax deduction. So that's something you really need to keep in mind when you're looking at other fees and taxes.
Okay. Anyone else? All right, clerk, please call the roll.
Sullivan?
Yes.
Meyer?
Yes.
Abernathy?
Yes.
Kim?
Yes.
Semple?
Yes.
Voss?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The fourth motion is one in regard to water and sewer rates for this coming fiscal year. The motion is to pass an ordinance establishing rates and charges for water service and sanitary sewer service in the village of Mundelein at an annualized water and sewer rate of $7.80 per unit of water, this effective on bills beginning June 1st, 2015. I'll make that motion.
Motion by Sullivan,
Second.
second by Kim. Discussion? Yes, trustee Kim.
And just to recap on this, if I recall from last year, it was because all the other towns around us had a 3% revolving that, went up incrementally, and we just hadn't raised it for all those years, and so we're catching up, correct?
No.
Is that
I think-
what this was, or was that a different?
No, we're looking at a four-year increase in our rate to build up reserves for our capital expenditures that are coming down the road. So we looked out over the next 10 years and looked at what our capital needs are for the Water and Sewer Enterprise Fund, and then have put together a strategy over the next 4 years to slowly increase rates to pay for those capital improvements so we don't have to bond for those. I would add that when you look at comparable communities, and I have a list in front of me of, I guess 15 communities that range from Lake Zurich to Round Lake Beach to Grays Lake to Round Lake Heights, Libertyville, Vernon Hills, Round Lake, Lincolnshire, Buffalo Grove, a number of communities there that we fall smack dab in the middle of the median in terms of our rates. And when you look at just the Jawa, the Joint Action Waterway communities, I think we're second to the lowest in terms of our rates. So we have been historically low, and we think we are maintaining that same position. But at the same time, it's important to know that these increases are going towards our capital expenditures and not towards operational costs.
Okay, different bucket, but still the catch-up. Okay, thank you.
Anyone else?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I mean, we've been raising our rates going along.
Once a year, yep.
Pardon?
Yes.
Yes. In that, and one of the, frequent complaints that we do get from our residents is that our water rates are high and our sewer rates are high. And the, summer usage, while, it fluctuates, that there are a lot of complaints on, well, sewer, and I know that there are a lot of issues behind all that, I shouldn't be paying sewer when I'm watering my lawn, and a variety of different things have come up. But this is an area that, we may be the median, but I'm not sure that that's really a good comparison, because I know a lot of our residents are complaining about our water rates, so I'm going to vote no.
Okay, anyone else?
It's always been my view that you ought to pay double if you want to throw it on your lawn.
It's very well-treated water for going on the lawn. I agree. Yes, trustee Voss.
I think that maybe our residents don't understand that this is an enterprise system, and therefore should be self-maintaining. So what we're collecting, we're spending. And, people complain a lot of things are expensive, and not that they aren't, but they still want water and sewer, and there's still a cost to the village in providing those things and in providing the infrastructure that is needed to maintain them. And we need a lot of new sewer lining going on. So it costs money. We have to pay for it.
Yep. Anyone else? Okay, clerk, please call the roll.
Sullivan?
Yes.
Kim?
Yes.
Abernathy?
Yes.
Semple?
Yes.
Meyer?
No.
Voss?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Next motion, the establishment of Archer Commons Fund. This is a motion to adopt the resolution authorizing the creation of the Archer Commons Fund and a transfer of $500,000 from the village general fund reserve to this fund. I'll make that motion.
Motion by Sullivan,
Second.
second by Voss. Discussion. Okay, clerk, please call the roll.
Sullivan?
Yes.
Voss?
Yes.
Semple?
Yes.
Kim?
Yes.
Abernathy? Meyer?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. The next motion, we will have an abstention, so it has been separated from the bill list. This is a motion to approve the payment of bills to AT&T. These invoices total $2,989.69. I make that motion.
Motion by Sullivan,
Second.
second by Voss. Discussion.
Yes, this will be the last time you'll have to take the, separate out the AT&T ones.
All right, clerk, please call the roll.
Sullivan?
Yes.
Voss?
Yes.
Meyer?
Abstain.
Abernathy?
Yes.
Kim?
Yes.
Semple?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, now, this is the first time I've seen this motion on the Finance Committee, of governing bill approval. This is a motion to approve the payment of bills on the entire governing board list, an amount of $902,704.97. I'll make that motion.
Motion by Sullivan,
Second.
second by Abernathy. Discussion. Clerk, please call the roll.
Sullivan?
Yes.
Abernathy?
Yes.
Semple?
Yes.
Voss? Meyer?
Yes.
Kim?
Yes.
Motion carries.
And since we've already approved that list, I'll have no comment further. That concludes my report.
Close
Thank
your
you.
report, okay. Public Safety Committee, Trustee Semple.
Chief Gunther, we'll go with you first and save the old guy for last.
Thank you. Just one thing, we have Amazing Mundelein on May 16th at 8 o'clock. We're still looking for volunteers if anybody's interested, and/or if there's residents that are in need of assistance, you can call the police department, 968-4600, and get your address signed up. And that's it. Thanks.
Chief, do you want to mention the little event Friday night?
Well, since you brought it up. On Friday night, if anybody's interested in coming and watching either the mayor or I slug it out with some bad guys, it's at the Libertyville Sports Complex. There are general admission tickets available. Yes, we will be boxing. It's a 3-round event for charity that goes to the Junior Olympics, which will be the next days, Saturday and Sunday. The qualifiers for the 8 to 16-year-olds will be in the following days, so it should be entertaining, to say the least.
Thanks, Chief. Chief Sashko, one last time for you and potentially for me as Public Safety Chairman. I just wanted to say it's been a pleasure meeting with you on a regular basis. And for everybody who doesn't realize it, as we are chairman of various committees, we're kind of the liaison for the respective committee members or the department heads that we work with. Trustee Meyer with Public Works and Ed Sullivan working with Doug and Trustee Voss with Victor. I mean, it goes on. And I've had the pleasure of working with Chief Gunther and Chief Sashko and meeting with them on a very regular basis, just being updated. And what I've tried to make clear with them is, if you need a liaison at the village board level, that's what we're here for. And if you need somebody to take a bloody nose for you, that's what we're here for. And if you need somebody to give a bloody nose, we're here for that too.
I'll need somebody Friday night.
Except for that. But Chief Sashko, it's been really, really great working with you, and I absolutely wish you the best on your retirement and the new gig you've got. So with that, we'll turn the floor over to you one last time.
Thank you, and I wanted to thank you most recently in our previous chairs of Public Safety. Trustee Meyer was chair for a while, I think, and then I don't remember who was before that. when I got here. It might have been Trustee Kinselli, I believe. So I thank you, because it's true. We don't get done what we need to get done without the support of the trustees, and having that relationship is really critically important. We obviously do that with Mr. Lebato and the mayor, and but that one-on-one that we've had has been really excellent, and with Trustee Meyer also. So with that being said, thank you again all. Blood drive we had a week ago Saturday was very successful, just under 80 units. So that's always a really great drive. So thank you to the community for your continued support of that. We're going to keep running them. That I will not stop doing. I'm very passionate about it. And we work with a program called Operation North Pole in the fire service, where we put on really a holiday event for kids with cancer. And that's really one of the motivations that we have, is because of the need for that. And many people are touched by that disease, and so it's part of what keeps us going and focused on that in the community and then through the region. And then our Citizens Fire Academy is going on. That started just a couple weeks ago, so you can still jump into that. That's on Tuesday nights. It's a really great opportunity. We talked earlier about the team that was out and back and what they do, and it's probably one of the most best kept secrets, really. And when I look back at 36 years of my career, sometime a long time ago, we should have probably taken a better effort in trying to educate the public about the sophistication, the technology, and all the different things we do with mobile, really, emergency rooms out on the street these days, and all the different things we cram into these guys' heads. So it's really a pretty amazing group. So thank you for what they do, and if you want to see what that is, you can join us on Tuesday nights. So thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. That's it.
Okay. Next up, Community and Economic Development Committee, Trustee Voss.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, for those of you who are interested, it's the third quarter. Bucks are 67 to Bulls 60. Just FYI. I have several new businesses that have opened. Pristine Home Construction at 888 Tower Road, providing siding, roofing, painting, and window installation. Returns Are Us, which is pharma logistics, which helps with out-of-date pharmaceuticals to facilitate the removal and destruction. Royal Majestic Cleaners and Dry Cleaners and Laundry at 1355 Wilhelm Road. Mundelein Hand Car Wash at 611 South Lake Street. There was a car wash there at the corner of Lake Street and Allenson, and this has a new owner. And 5 Star Nails is at 664 South Lake Street. Manicures, pedicures, etc., etc. Then we have several things on the agenda tonight. The first one is a motion. I'll make the motion to pass an ordinance approving the Village of Mundelein Economic Development Incentive Policy and Program.
Motion by Voss.
Second.
Second by Abernathy. Discussion.
Yes, please.
Yes.
You're going to have to give me a second. Okay, on page 1, 2A, it seems like in the first paragraph, property tax reimbursement, that we might have, well, we definitely have some verbiage. Has this gone through attorney review? Has this already been reviewed? Is this going to be reviewed? Sorry, the sentence is, it involves an reimbursement of a portion of the village's share of property taxes and or as support for Lake County's property tax incentives. So shouldn't it be, it involves a reimbursement, not an, and can we just make that correction?
Yes. Yeah, we can make that correction.
Okay. The other thing, and this is sort of an ongoing question that I've had as we've done this, is this grant program, we say if you're only open 1 year after you get money, you have to pay back 75%, and if you're only open 2 years, you have to pay back 50%. And if you're only open between 2 and 3 years, you have to pay back a quarter of what we gave you. So is it really realistic to think that a business that didn't last more than a year is going to pay us back? So the answer, I think we all think, is no. And then in reading this, that if you So if you open a business and you rent the property, you don't own it, then the property owner has to sign for you to get the grant because they're on the hook if you don't stay in business. What happens if you buy the property and you still go out of business? Then we're just out the money, right?
Lien the property.
Okay, so you'll get it back one way or the other.
Well, you may get it back.
One way or the other. You're going to attempt to get it back.
Yeah, you never.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't have first claim.
You write it in the hope that you're going to get it back. But whether you do or not, you don't know until it comes.
Okay. I just, going forward, would caution the new board that you might want to increase the amount of incentives because I don't know how much. We hope all businesses last well beyond 3 years. I don't know that if they don't, it's realistic to think they're going to really have the money to give back to you.
Anyone else?
Yes, Mr.
Yes, trustee Sullivan.
Also, I would like to bring up and remind everybody, including the new trustees who will join us next month, is that when it comes to TIF reimbursement as incentive, this has been the board's policy that it was a pay-as-you-go, that we didn't borrow money to pay, we didn't give money away up front, that this was part of the increment or the tax dollars as collected being shared as an incentive. And also that sharing was limited to approximately 50% of the increment, and not all of it, or the lion's share of it. And hopefully that custom, that philosophy will be carried forth so that we don't extend ourselves, realizing that we can't go into debt unless there's increment to pay that debt down. And there are other expenses other than private expenses. There are public expenses in the TIF district for roads and for other infrastructure. And we need to conserve part of the revenue from the TIF to pay those public expenses down. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, trustee Semple.
I do have a little bit of issue with the thought of the village opening up the taxpayer's checkbook and doling out checks as incentives, especially if, as trustee Voss had mentioned, the business, for whatever reason, goes out of business in a year. Taxpayers are very probably going to be out, as much as $25,000 if that's the matching funds. As much as this gives me a little bit of heartburn, I'm willing to think outside the box and go along with this concept, as long as we carefully watch this opening up the taxpayer's checkbook to incentivize businesses, because some would make the case government needs to be smaller and get out of people's lives, but yet we're looking at the government to write out checks to help businesses open up, and just have a little bit of issue with that. But I'm willing to give the benefit of the doubt to my colleagues on the board and hope this works out really well and our restaurant row opens up and downtown flourishes. So I will support this.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, I'm very much in favor of this. It's really, and I wish you could see the print on the cover page. It's labeled Grants for Commercial Building Improvements and Commercial Sign Replacements under the Mundelein Economic Development Incentive Program. It really is more of a comprehensive menu. It's a way that we are articulating a menu of grants and incentives to attract businesses to Mundelein and then encourages businesses in Mundelein to expand. And it lists a menu of those items that can be packaged together and negotiated on a case-by-case basis with quite a bit of flexibility. And so obviously we have some vacancies in town. We've talked about that earlier this year, and this is really a strong step that we're taking, I think fairly aggressively, to move things forward and fill that need. Yes, trustee Abernathy.
I do have one more question, and I know maybe it goes more towards Victor. A lot of our properties have an owner and a business rents from them. Now, is there anything, can the property owner come in and adjust either the exterior or interior? So say the property owner wants to do the outside of their building. Now, a business comes in and they want to work on the interior. Can both entities apply for the grant program? Does that,
Yes, there is that possibility that you have both entities that apply for a similar program. One is for the interior, one is for the exterior.
right, so if the exterior property owner wanted to go on a property tax rebate type of program, but the business owner wanted to do a sales tax,
There are combinations that could be applied for, yes.
okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, clerk, please call the roll.
Voss.
Yes.
Abernathy.
Yes.
Semple.
Yes.
Meyer.
Yes.
Sullivan.
Yes.
Kim.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, next is, I'll make a motion to pass an ordinance approving the requirements for grants for commercial building improvements and commercial sign replacement under the Mundelein Economic Development Incentive Program.
Second.
Motion by Voss, second by Meyer. Discussion. Oh, Abernathy. I thought I heard both of you. Okay. Discussion? Okay, clerk, please call the roll.
Voss.
Yes.
Abernathy.
Yes.
Sullivan.
Yes.
Semple.
Yes.
Kim.
Yes.
Meyer.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Wonderful. I think that is fabulous. I'm so excited that we've implemented this. I'm sure that we will have businesses that will be utilizing those grants to help upgrade and beautify their properties. Next is the sign ordinance that we passed last week. We need to make an amendment to it because of the encroachments on the right-of-way to provide consistency. So I'll make a motion to pass an ordinance amending section 13.28.020 of the Municipal Code of Mundelein regarding permissible encroachment and rights of way to provide consistency with the new sign ordinance. What are they doing, Mike? Who scored? I'll make that motion.
Motion by Voss. Motion by Voss.
Second.
Second by Sullivan. Discussion. Clerk, please call the roll.
Voss.
Yes.
Sullivan.
Yes.
Abernathy.
Yes.
Kim.
Yes.
Meyer.
Yes.
Semple.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next up, we are continuing in the text amendment of our municipal code zoning ordinance. So first, I'll make a motion to accept the Planning and Zoning Commission minutes and findings of fact.
Second.
Motion by Voss, second by Meyer. Discussion. Clerk, please call the roll.
Wait
Oh,
a
wait a minute, I'm sorry.
I just wanted to thank everybody for working on this, because I think there are a lot of things in this, in the updates on this, that will help residents get the job done much easier without going and asking for variances, and businesses also. So I think that there are a lot of really good things in here, and it will help speed the process up a lot.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, clerk, please call the roll.
Voss.
Yes.
Meyer.
Yes.
Abernathy.
Yes.
Kim.
Yes.
Sullivan.
Yes.
Semple.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next up, I'll make a motion to accept the Planning and Zoning Commissioner's recommendations.
Motion by Voss,
Second.
second by Meyer. Discussion. Clerk, please call the roll.
Voss.
Yes.
Meyer.
Yes.
Semple.
Yes.
Sullivan.
Yes.
Kim.
Yes.
Abernathy.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next up, I'll make a motion to pass an ordinance amending certain sections of the municipal code relating to the zoning ordinance, Title 20, regarding regarding residential bulk and yard standards table, the C5 subdistrict map, and the on-site development standards.
Second.
Motion by Voss, second by Meyer. Discussion. Clerk, please call the roll.
Voss.
Yes.
Meyer.
Yes.
Abernathy? Sullivan?
Yes.
Semple?
Yes.
Kim?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Okay, just a few more things and then I'll be done. First up, in going through all of my village stuff, I found this really great book, You've Been Elected, that I had received from the Illinois Municipal League that is apparently available for purchase for $15. And I will send this down your way. I know that we've written a book to help the newly elected officials, and I know because I helped write it. But there is a lot of really great stuff in here that isn't in our handbook, including the municipal 10 commandments. It seems like maybe trustees Kim and Abernathy did not ever get them.
We got them. I think we got a different one that they published.
No, we got one of these. We got that 2 years ago.
Okay.
Okay.
Then I don't recall. And we
Well-
got one that they published.
Okay. Then you can pass it back because trustee Kim would like this because it would help. She didn't maybe get one.
We said there's 10 of the new ones.
Okay. Keep it, what do I
But if
care?
you really, really want someone to take your book,
Have at it. Okay, lastly, I just have a few reflections that I wanted to share as I've prepared for my last meeting tonight. I've thought back about a lot of change that I've been through, that the village has been through in my 12 years. So, in terms of here on the board, I've been through 3 mayors, 5 trustees other than the ones I'm sitting with, 5 department heads, 1 village administrator, and I've also seen, as we have, some big developments. We have a great shopping center, Mundelein Crossings out there with Target and Home Depot and TJ Maxx and Cardinal Square, and this building that is part of a public-private partnership that trustee Sullivan and I gave days of our lives negotiating for. I have been involved in several other negotiations as well. Some of them came to fruition, like this building, and some of them were lost either to the downturn in the economy or perhaps to unrealistic and uncompromising property owners. I really wish I could have those hours back, but I guess we can't. We've seen a lot of changes in the way that we do business in terms of from police to building department to being way more customer service, customer oriented, customer friendly. And I've personally had some great experiences as a trustee. I got to meet Cardinal George twice, which as a Jewish woman is still a great thrill. I had a few police ride-alongs that were very compelling. I actually am probably the only sitting trustee that was involved in while doing a police ride-along, I should say, was in a high-speed chase across town that they actually put down those tack things, the rubber tack things. I was also then picked up. The then Public Works Director said, well, you've done police ride-alongs, when are you riding along with me? And so I said, the next time it snows, come get me. It just so happened that it was a 20-inch snow, and I was in several plow trucks for 5 hours on that night in an event that I will never forget, being in a plow truck. That much snow, the streets were impassable, the lights went out, our plow got stuck in the down position. We couldn't get back to get it worked on. There was so much snow in the plow that our rear wheels went up off the ground. It was quite an experience. So staff has requested that I never do any ride-alongs after that. So that you new trustees, I've set the benchmark pretty high on excitement. You're going to have to come in and do a better job. I think that we've all learned that I do not have a poker face, so I've given up on that. In my first year, when I was a trustee, I met with the then administrator. Actually, it was at the close of my first year, who told me that I was a flash in the pan and that there was no way that any trustee could continue with the level of involvement and commitment that I had at the end of my first year. So here I am finishing 12, and I'd like to tell him that he was wrong. And not only do I think that that you can maintain that, I think that it has become what we as trustees now expect from ourselves. We expect to come to meetings prepared, having read our packets, having asked our questions, having met with our department heads, that we expect that we should attend ribbon cuttings and other community events and not just leave it to staff. That we understand that we have a lot of responsibility and a lot of power, and it takes constant communication and education to make sure that we are using it wisely and that we do use it and not just cede our power either to staff or to others. So to all the staff, I want to say thank you for all of your support. I've written thank you letters to the staff that was here when I first came on because they were so very nice in giving me baby steps and helping me through, because we didn't have any elected official trainings when I was first elected. To my fellow newly elected officials, I urge you to carry on in our tradition, to remember it is about people, it's not about you, it's not about resume building, it's about how we serve our community. And to my fellow residents, I just want to say thank you for all your support over the years. And that, Mr. Mayor, is all.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And John Raymer, if you're still here, no tears. Just.
Okay. Thank you. That takes us to Communication and Marketing Committee. Trustee Kim.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a couple of updates and then a meeting call. Let's see here. First, I want to bring up that there's a residential realtors reception, and that will be Thursday, April 30th, here at the Village Hall. It has been advertised in information packets, e-blast, invite. Oh, I'm sorry, there is an information packet. It's been advertised in invites and e-blasts, and there will be giveaway items. I think there will also be wine and food. Is that correct? I recall the flyer said.
Yes.
Okay, it's not here, but I know there's food. The Economic Development website redesign and copy update is still underway. Since last time, the videos with the mayor have now included the Northfield block, and this coming week they will be shooting the Mundelein video. Let's see, not on here, but also worthy of mention is that on starting May 11th, we'll have a live stream of our video, so you don't have to be here. You also can be pants optional. So that will be happening May 11th. Today on the radio on WBBM, I heard Chief Gunther on the radio talking about, I'm sorry, what was the program? It was about from 8th grade to high school, like grade improvements.
Yeah, it's a program we do with Judge Shanes from the courthouse, where we just go to the school districts, the various school districts, and we get kids that have just tried really hard. They're not your straight A students, they're not your star athletes, they're the kids that have to work hard to get the B's and the C's, etc. But we want them to know that they're about the 85th percentile of everybody else that's there, and that we're seeing their good work too. And then we bring back some kids from high school that have gone through the program and let these kids see the successes that they can go on to achieve. So it's a wonderful program. It's in our 4th year.
Okay, and the meeting call is for June 8th, 6 p.m. The Communication and Marketing Committee will have a meeting where the marketing manager, Dawn Jenich, will go on a brief overview of the branding program, what we've done so far, where we're at, and what else is left to do. This is open to the public, so anyone who has questions about the branding campaign can hear the update and ask whatever they want. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Transportation and Infrastructure Committee, Trustee Abernathy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do have a few things tonight. First, we have the intergovernmental agreement for Holly Street improvements. So I have a motion to authorize the village clerk and mayor's signature on the intergovernmental agreement between Lake County and the village for the jurisdictional transfer of Holly Street and the costs associated with the Holly Street improvement project.
Motion by Abernathy,
Second?
second by Kim. Discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Abernathy?
Yes.
Kim?
Yes.
Semple?
Yes.
Meyer?
Yes.
Voss? Sullivan?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, then I also have a motion to authorize the mayor and village clerk to sign the Lake County Division of Transportation's letter of intent and concurrence to an amendment to Exhibit A of the master agreement between the County of Lake and the Village of Mundelein for energy costs, maintenance costs, and future costs associated with the county-owned traffic control devices for the Holly Street Improvement Project.
Motion by Abernathy,
Second?
second by Kim. Discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Abernathy?
Yes.
Kim?
Yes.
Meyer?
Yes.
Voss? Sullivan?
Yes.
Semple?
Yes.
Motion carries.
And last, I have a motion to authorize the mayor and village clerk to sign the Lake County Division of Transportation's municipal utility facility acceptance on a county highway application for the Holly Street Improvement Project.
Motion by Abernathy,
Second?
second by Kim. Discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Abernathy?
Yes.
Kim?
Yes.
Semple?
Yes.
Voss? Meyer? Sullivan?
Motion carries.
And just to add real quickly, as being a new trustee, well, from 2 years ago, I would like to thank especially Trustee Voss, Trustee Sullivan, and Trustee Meyer for their guidance and their knowledge and their welcoming to work with us and patience, their patience, and their knowledge. Thank you very much for making a transition for us very smooth and very easy. So I'd like to thank them for their service. That's it.
Thank you. That takes us to item G, other reports.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, if you'll bear with me, there are
Trustee
two things.
Sullivan? Sure.
Two things that I'd like to discuss. The first is to say how appreciative I have been of our local staff. When I came on the board 16 years ago, I felt that, wow, these department heads and the people working under them really are tremendous. No wonder we get along. They get along so good. They get their jobs completed, and I didn't think it could get any better. But I can tell you that over the years, it has. And I can say without any reservation that our current staffing from top to bottom is the best it has ever been. And if I've had some small part in our department heads that we have now and the staff under them, then that's what I'm proudest of. And I got to thank them for all the help they've given me over the years. And certainly every Mundelein resident should understand how lucky they are. At our last meeting, we were going to consider a resolution from the governor's office termed the Turnaround Illinois resolution. It was determined that we wouldn't support it as written and that we would get together and Trustee Meyer and myself and edit that. Well, we edited that and we spent a little bit of time on it. I spent a lot of time thinking about it. And there's been a lot in the press in regard to this turnaround resolution. But really, I don't think anybody understands what it says. And so I'd like to read to you the amended turnaround agenda. Local government empowerment and reform. It starts, whereas state law sets thresholds for workers on state and local construction projects, increasing costs significantly. And whereas state law has increased utilization of project labor agreements for construction projects. And whereas repealing the Illinois prevailing wage law and the requirements the requirements for project labor agreements would reduce the cost of and increase local control over local capital projects.
And whereas unfunded mandates have been imposed over the years, those mandates costing Illinois communities billions of dollars annually, the review of the merits of unfunded mandates with a goal of eliminating those that are deemed unnecessary and/or excessively burdensome is recommended. And whereas Illinois workers' compensation costs are among the highest in the nation, and whereas review and modification of workers' compensation laws would result in major cost savings for local governments while retaining an effective benefit process for claimants and reducing fraud. Whereas local elected officials in our community should be allowed to decide whether or not employees should be forced to join a union or pay dues as a condition of employment. And therefore, be it resolved that the Village of Mundelein endorses major reforms in state government that will encourage local control, reduce costs on local governments, empower local voters, and increase competitiveness in our community. And so that was the final draft. And it was determined that we did not have enough votes to pass that. It would have been my vote to pass it. Now, 2 weeks ago, we sat and listened to a number of individuals, I think 33 or 34 of them, union members, union officials, who seemed to be concerned that their life as they know it was going to come to an end if changes were made in Illinois law. They told you those changes were illegal. Well, they weren't illegal because the legislature hadn't changed them yet. At any rate, no one here, certainly not myself, would recommend doing away with unions. But at the same time, changes have to be made. The playing field is tilted too far towards union power. The organization of unions, the bargaining of unions, the grievance settlements are unfairly tilted, and we just can't deal with that. Now, we heard a lot of statements 2 weeks ago. A lot of statements. The world was coming to an end if some of these changes were made. Let me just give you some idea what the real world amounts to in Illinois. These facts from an Illinois Policy Institute, which is a nonpartisan group. Illinois Policy Action is a format with information that they put forth. One of the statements they make is that Illinois is the worst in the nation in employment recovery since the Great Recession. And actually, in the past 6 years, Illinois has lost 236,000 jobs. Kentucky, 40,000. Indiana, 19,000. Wisconsin has gained 10,000 jobs. Iowa gained 32,000, and Missouri has gained 41,000 jobs. While Illinois has lost almost 250,000 jobs. Illinois' workforce is shrinking. We still don't compare nationally in unemployment, but unemployment is going down. One of the main reasons it's going down is people are leaving Illinois and not seeking employment in Illinois. Almost 250,000 of them. Illinois, since 1991, has lost population, and this is from Census Bureau figures. And the greatest loss was in 2014, last year. Almost 100,000 people left Illinois. Illinois has the nation's worst funded pension systems. Illinois unfunded pension liability is now $111 billion.
Property taxes, Illinois, are the highest in the Midwest. The average property tax on an Illinois resident is almost $4,000. In Missouri, Indiana, it's around $1,500. No state on our borders comes close to the property tax burden that Illinois residents pay. And I think that's pretty believable to anybody out there who owns property. Workmen's compensation premiums are completely uncompetitive. In the area of steel fabricators, Illinois has at least 3 times the cost per worker as its surrounding states. In order to leave Illinois, or in the benefits of leaving Illinois, with 1,000 employees, Wisconsin will save, in regard to workmen's compensation costs, Wisconsin will save $2.2 million of business moving from Illinois to Wisconsin. Kentucky, a business will save $3.4 million. The numbers are huge. We can't survive. We can't continue without change in how we deal with workmen's compensation, with union compensation, and with other areas dealing with employment. Right to work states. You heard probably 25 people tell you that right to work was a death knell. And yet, Iowa, Wisconsin, Michigan, Indiana, and Kentucky are right-to-work states, and they have increased their employment. Missouri is about to pass a right-to-work law. It's the only bordering state next to Illinois that doesn't have right-to-work. But Illinois is a forced unionism state. Things have to change. That is what the governor's purpose is in seeking support from municipalities. It said that, well, all people talking to us, well, why should you be bothered? What right do you have to deal with the business of the General Assembly or the governor? That statement makes me choke. When it costs us an arm and a leg, and you taxpayers, as a result of the laws that are present in this state regarding labor and unemployment insurance compensation, and mandates. You heard me say that we just got orders this year, past year, to spend $1.2 million to improve the effluent of the phosphorus concentration from our wastewater treatment plant. And I can tell you that's the silliest mandate I've seen. And I've seen a lot of dumb ones. Special interest groups bringing about expense to taxpayers. It makes us uncompetitive, and we simply have to turn this around. We have to reject this. And without doing that, things can only get worse. So thank you for the time to say that, Mr. Mayor. Appreciate it.
That was taken off the agenda. There will be 400 people here tonight.
Point of order, Mr. Mayor.
Sir, point of order. No.
Point of order, Mr. Mayor.
Out of respect for all 3 people to retire with pride and to honor your accomplishments of what you've done with all this, it was taken off, and the 400 people did not show up to allow you to give you praise and sing your praises of everything that you've accomplished.
Baloney.
I wish you. I'm here for that reason.
Order, sir. We're gonna ask you to stop
I'm a citizen,
right now.
and I'm here for that reason
No,
to
you don't have
acknowledge
the
what
floor,
you've
sir.
done.
The floor is not yours.
Okay.
I want you to please be
I
quiet so we can continue our business.
Let me
Thank
do
you very
one more
much.
sentence and I will sit down.
No, please sit down. You're done.
I
We're going to
can't-
continue our business.
I can't. I
This
can't
was
sit
under-
down. I'm
under-
sorry.
Well, then you can leave
I
and
will
take it out.
leave.
You know, go. You
I
cannot
will leave if
continue.
you don't want me to be here.
Well, I would
want-
prefer that you
I want
stop
to leave.
speaking so that we can continue our business. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Trustee Sullivan.
You're welcome, sir.
Anyone else have other reports, comments, or concerns you want to address? Yes, Trustee Kim.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to ask Chief Gunther, I know that the body cameras were on the budget, and I was just wondering if we could get a written policy on stuff such as like how long the data will be kept and whether it'd be kept on all the time or just during interaction. I'd just like to know before purchase.
We'll bring up the topic again before you approve any money moving forward for a purchase of that. It's very, very early to beginning making any types of policies in regard to that, those use. The money's put into the budget simply as a, to understand that that's something in the future we will need to discuss and think about. So when the time comes and when some legislation can catch up and when we can do some more research, we'll have those discussions before we do anything.
Sure, I know there's also a Senate bill that was going through too, so we have to wait for that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Very good. Moving on to item 10, scheduled business omnibus vote items. We have items 1 through 5. Does any trustee wish to pull items 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? No? Okay, then I need a motion to pass items 1 through 5 on the omnibus vote items list.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Voss, second by Kim. Discussion. Clerk, please call the roll.
Voss?
Yes.
Kim?
Yes.
Semple?
Yes.
Meyer? Yes. Sullivan?
Yes.
Abernathy?
Motion carries. Moving on to village staff reports. Village Administrator, Mr. Lebedo.
I just have a few remarks. I have no real formal business, but I'll keep my remarks brief. I too want to just, thank the trustees that are outgoing for their support. Certainly, it takes both the elected body and administrative staff to make it work. And we don't always agree, but I think that everybody has respected everybody's point of view, and that makes for a healthy working environment where we can express our opinions and give you the best advice that we can gather. But ultimately, it's the board that makes the decision. And for that, I just really want to thank all three of you. You've been supportive of not only myself, but of the staff, no matter who is here. And I think over the tenure of all your time as an elected official, I think there's been a lot of good work done. So for that, I want to thank you on behalf of the community. Thanks.
Thank you. Next up, Village Attorney, Mr. Marino.
I have no report, but I want to tell the three trustees how much I've enjoyed working with them, each of them. Thank you.
Likewise.
No executive session. No. Yeah. Okay.
No executive session. Village Clerk?
The abstract of votes for the consolidated election of April 7th, 2015 is as follows. The trustee candidates, William Bill Rikus, 1,188 votes. Kirsten Russell, 1,259 votes. Paul Roscoe, 895 votes. Dakota Norton, 1,132 votes. And pursuant to village ordinance, the newly elected trustees will be sworn in and assume their duties at the regular board meeting on May 11th, 2015. And at the next board meeting on May 11th, we will have a motion to accept the canvass of elections for the consolidated election of April 7th, 2015, and declare the new trustees elected to office.
Okay, and then, oh, are you finished?
Mm-hmm.
Just along those lines, at the 11th, we're going to have, in terms of getting a quorum, okay? If any of the three current trustees would be absent, we need one of the old ones to be present to open it up. Is that correct?
Old ones?
The one leaving.
Outgoing.
Outgoing.
Well, you would have a quorum as long as the three existing trustees.
Right.
Call me the old one.
I'll be
With me. Okay, and if any of the three cannot, then we'll have to go to the
Old ones.
the old ones, right, okay. Very good. So we'll just be on alert for that. Very good. That's the end. I need a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Voss, second by Kim. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, same sign. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody.
You bet.